Hey everybody, good day. Thanks once again for tuning in. This is MLA Move Language Ahead's MLA Kitchen webinar. We're coming to you live here in just a few more seconds. We're going to be cooking British scones with our colleague in the UK. It's Carla Jones from Brighton, UK. So without further ado, let's go ahead today and get started. So, hey Carla, how are you?
Hello, very good, very good.
Perfect. Tell us, what is the weather like today in Brighton?
It's gorgeous, actually, really sunny. So it seems to be that, you know, a lot of the time in the UK it's, you know, miserable weather. And then when it's lockdown, all of a sudden the sun comes out. So, you know.
Yeah. No problem. We're having a bit of rain today. I'm calling from Baltimore, Maryland in the United States. So I wish I was with you in Brighton with some sunshine just by the seaside.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah. Carla, you've got a really interesting job here with MLA. You've been part of the team now for a couple of months. Tell us about what you do for the company.
Yeah, so I'm one of the regional sales managers, and I work with my colleague Medina, focusing on certain countries. So I've got, I work with agents in all sorts of countries, so Russia, Kazakhstan, Turkey, Morocco, Romania, Bulgaria. So yeah, and I've been with MLA for about a year now, and yeah, I'm really excited actually to be doing this MLA Kitchen. So.
And you've seen a lot in a year. You've traveled to almost all of the centers in the United States of MLA. You traveled to several of the programs in the UK too. So you were very busy last summer seeing all the programs.
It was literally, that was our entire summer, the international sales team, to really put ourselves in the centres and just to see how things run with MLA. I've been in the industry for about 7 years now, so I've had a lot of experience on centre, and I was really very impressed actually when I first visited MLA centres and realised what our standard was.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, it's so great that so many of our sales managers get an opportunity to see all the programs. And we're really happy and thankful for you to see this large increase in the international mix and population at all of our centers. And that's to your credit too. We have such a great international following with our webinars that are here. We've got almost 150 people joining us today for MLA Kitchen, and coming to us from all parts of the world. So we've got South America represented. We've got parts of Asia in here. Of course, Western Europe is represented proudly. So great. Well, I think we're all a little bit hungry and we're all really excited. I think baking is something we've turned to in these days of being at home with our loved ones and our family and friends. So why don't you introduce the recipe and why you decided to choose British scones for today's kitchen?
So when we started to do the MLA Kitchen, I definitely wanted to do something British, and so I chose scones. And if you weren't aware, they're part of afternoon tea. So actually, if you write in the comments, have many of you actually gone to afternoon tea when you visited the UK at all?
I know I have.
Yeah.
I love tea, actually.
You like it? Okay. So scones is a part of it, and then the other parts are sandwiches and cakes, and then obviously you would have tea with it. So yeah, I wanted to do it. It's a really simple recipe, and yeah, so I'm excited. So
all right, well, let's go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and get started. Here we go.
Please, ask lots of questions throughout, and then the lovely Carson will help me out in answering them.
But Carla, you just reminded me of something I forget to say every week. So we will be sending out the recipe today after the webinar is complete. So everybody will get the recipe with an email. You'll also get a link to the video. You can come back and watch our episode, but the recipe will include all of the ingredients and all of the measurements. So you don't have to worry about trying to jot down all of your notes right now. The full recipe, all of the list of ingredients and step-by-step directions will come out to you after this. So thanks a lot. Okay, Carla, and if anybody has any questions, you could type them into the chat. I'll read them out loud, but if you're brave enough to, raise your hand using the attendees panel on the bottom there, and I'll be happy to call on you. You can unmute your microphone and you can ask your question with us live during today's cooking demonstration. All right. Perfect. Thanks for the reminder, Carla. Back to you, and let's go ahead and get started with our scones.
Okay, so first things first is to preheat the oven. So it's meant to be at 225 degrees. So I've got all of my ingredients out, because if I don't start organised, then I'll just get into a bit of a mess. So first things first is the self-raising flour. So I've already pre-weighed 350 grams. So you might notice I'm actually using a casserole dish rather than a baking bowl, but my baking bowl wasn't see-through, wasn't glass, so I wanted you to be able to actually see what I was doing. Okay, cool.
We have lots of people, Carla, that attended tea in London, and people are saying that they absolutely love scones. So I think they're very excited for this.
Good, good, good. I love them as well. Yeah, it's quite like it's definitely like a Mother's Day thing, a birthday thing, like a baby shower thing to do. Mainly it's like women would do it. So then we've got 1/4 teaspoon of salt.
And that's just regular, like kosher salt or sea salt?
Yeah, just regular, I've just got regular table salt.
Table salt, okay, perfect.
And at the minute, it must be the same in other countries that we are struggling to get certain things because everyone's taken to baking. So I did struggle to get the self-raising flour. But if you can only get plain flour, there is a way to make it self-raising. I think you've just got to add like baking powder or something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then we've got 1 teaspoon baking soda. Lovely. And just mix that up a bit.
So did you eat a lot of scones when you were growing up? Carla, did your mom used to make scones?
No, no, actually, but it's more something that actually I do as an adult. You know, most hotels or most cafes in Brighton would definitely offer it. And yeah, it's a real thing now. Definitely.
Okay, super. Yeah, so we did 1/4 teaspoon of salt and then 1 teaspoon of the baking powder. And that went in with the self-rising flour, and she mixed that all up. Don't forget, guys, we will send the full recipe and all of the measurements to you after the webinar today.
And then we've got the butter. So this is 85 grams of butter. It didn't actually say on the recipe whether it was meant to be salted or unsalted. So this is salted, and they've turned out okay before. This is actually my favourite bit. So if we just pop these in, make sure your hands are clean.
I think we're all used to washing our hands by now.
No. So then all we've got to do is mix the flour in with the butter. I don't know why, but I just find this really, really relaxing. So yeah, so you just continue to mix it in. Can take a little while.
So you're going at that with your hands. You're just kind of getting the flour and the salt mixture in with your hands then until it's kind of crummy, maybe?
Pardon, sorry?
Until it kind of turns into like crumbs?
Yeah, and so it will eventually all look like like crumbs more than flour.
We have Marcella with us today. Marcella, if you unmute your microphone, you can go ahead and ask your question. Hi, Marcella. Maybe Marcella hit that button. Here we go. Hi, Marcella. How are you today? Can you hear us? I think we're having some technical difficulty there, Marcella, but if you want to type your question into the chat, you're more than welcome to ask there on the chat then as well, and I'll read them out loud, okay? And again, if anybody has a question and you feel brave enough, raise your hand there. We will go ahead and unmute your microphone and you can ask it live on our Talk Time episode. Perfect, okay. So where are we at? We're still mixing it. We're trying to get the batter into like a crumb-like consistency.
Indeed, yeah.
Excellent. It says if you don't have self-raising flour, what is the procedure? So the procedure would be, like Carla was saying before, a little bit of baking soda with the regular bread flour would make it into some self-raising flour. I
can't remember the exact amount of baking soda, but I had to Google it because I was struggling to find self-raising flour. But as you can see, I got a big bag in the end, so I was okay.
Perfect. Yeah, so that it was 350 grams of the self-raising flour for those that are asking. And again, don't worry, the full recipe is coming out after this. We also have Katrina on. Katrina, if you want to unmute your microphone, you're welcome to ask your question here today while Carla finishes our batter. Yeah, so the butter goes into, she said she cut into small cubes, salted or unsalted butter, and then she's just now taking it and she's mixing it with her hands to incorporate all of that great butter into the flour mixture.
Yeah. Okay, so we are pretty much done with that. So I'm just gonna, I'm gonna wash my hands because it drives me a bit mad, but if people want to continue with their hands all buttery and floury, then they can. 2 seconds.
Carla, we have a shout out from Irina, and I can't pronounce her last name, but it starts with a P, and she said she's here to support you. So I think it's one of your clients.
Hello. Oh, bless. I miss my clients.
Like I said, guys, feel free to raise your hand if you'd like to, if you're brave enough to ask a question, or you can just say good morning to Carla too live.
Right, so next we've got the caster sugar. So it's just 3 tablespoons of caster sugar.
A lot of people are saying about the difference of cold butter. I think the beauty of mixing it with your hands is that even if your butter's a little bit cold, because of the warmth and the heat inside of your hands, when you're mixing that together, it does break down the butter quite easily.
Yeah.
That right consistency. So of course you can use your butter that's been set out on the counter, or as we like to call it, room temperature. But if you have cold butter as well, mixing it with your hands is going to allow that to incorporate into the dough very easily.
Yeah. And as I said, it's my favourite part anyway, so I don't mind if it is cold and it takes me longer. So I've put in the caster sugar, so mixed it all up nicely. The next part is meant to be vanilla extract, but it's one of the things that I just can't seem to get anywhere. So my friend, who's a very good cook, told me, to be honest, just put anything in, like anything citrusy. So I thought, why not? So I decided to use a bit of lemon zest. So if you can get vanilla extract, fine, but otherwise I'm using lemon today. But she said orange zest, anything like that. It's literally just to add a bit more into it. So I'm just going to grate that into it.
Perfect. So the recipe is going to say vanilla extract, but again, if you can't find that, any type of citrus, so like orange zest or lemon zest would be really nice as a substitute. Hey, we have Francesca with us. I think Francesca has a question. Francesca, do you want to unmute your microphone and ask your question with us here on the kitchen?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi Francesca.
Okay, good afternoon. Yes, I would like to know how much flour, because I missed the first part of the webinar.
Yeah, it's 350 grams.
Pardon? How much?
350.
Okay, 350. Thank you.
And that will make, so actually the recipe that gets sent out, it says will feed 8, but it's only 4 scones. That doesn't feed 8 people, that feeds 4 people. So just in case, you were making it, I would say that this, the measurements are for 4 people because, 1 scone each isn't that much.
Perfect. And yeah, for anybody that joined us late today, don't forget, we send out all of the recipes with all of the measurements and all of the ingredients at the end of the webinar today. Plus, you get the recording. You can go back and you can watch the entire video again.
So I put the lemon zest in, and then there's also a squeeze of lemon as well. That is in the recipe. Okay. Then just mix that a bit.
I love working with fresh lemons. I always try to keep a lemon in the house because it goes well with everything. Lemon zest is incredible.
So next is the milk. So I made a bit of a mess there. So the milk needs warming up. It says in the microwave. I don't have a microwave, so I'm just going to warm it up on the cooker. It shouldn't be hot. It should only be warm, so it should take like 10 seconds. So it's 175 milliliters of milk.
And we have Maria with us today. Maria, go ahead and unmute that microphone. You can ask your question with us.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, Maria. Hi, how are you? What's your question today?
Hi, greetings from Rome, Italy.
Hello.
Hello. I lost the first 5-10 minutes. Can you tell me again, how did you start?
Yeah, no problem, Maria. I'll recap that while Carla works with her mixture there. But don't forget, everybody, we do send out the full recipes at the end of our webinar today. So
Yes, I know, because I always received it, but I just ask if she can explain again the starting of the recipe. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Cool. So the start is just 350 grams of self-raising flour, and then you mix that with your 1/4 teaspoon of salt, your full teaspoon of baking powder, and then that's when you work in with your fingers the 85 grams of butter. And yes, that's pretty much where we are. Cool. So my milk is warming up nicely. So this is where you get your knife, and you need to make like a little well, like a little hole in the middle of it. Make sure that the milk doesn't get too hot. So yeah, that's fine. Okay. So then, this is the bit that I always get a bit nervous about, because as it says in the recipe, it will look really wet at first, and it just makes me think that it's going wrong. So you literally just pour the milk into the middle, into the well of the flour, and then with your knife, and I'll show you in a second, you then just start to work your way in, work the flour in.
So that's 175 milliliters of milk that she warmed up on the stovetop. But if you also have a microwave, you could just put it in. You don't want it hot. You just want it warm.
Yeah. And then because you need to work the flour back in, I just do like a figure of 8. I don't know, that just seems okay. And then so at the minute it looks really sloppy. I don't know whether you can actually see that. And bearing in mind, I'm going to pour this out onto my worktop in a second. So then at one point I will get the spoon out, because the flour just doesn't always seem to mix totally in, but it's going, the consistency is what it's meant to look like.
I bet it smells good there with that lemon zest and everything inside the bowl.
Okay, so I'm going to change the knife to the spoon, because otherwise you'll be here all day. And just because you'll see that at the bottom of the bowl there's like little bits of flour that you just can't seem to mix in. So just keep on going.
Hi, Vanessa, you have a question for us?
Yes, hello, Vanessa from Argentina. I would like to know, hello, I'd like to know if you have ever tried this recipe with gluten-free flour.
Do you know, I haven't, but I've got some friends. No, I haven't, but I've got some friends who are gluten-free. So maybe our next celebration when we can all get together. Yeah, I mean it should work. There shouldn't be any reason why not to. But no, it's a good question.
Okay, thank you.
Great question, Vanessa. Thanks so much for joining us. Yeah, all of these alternative flours, almond flours and different flours have come such a long way over the past couple of years. So there's got to be ways to make this recipe gluten-free with doing that. And again, we use the self-raising flour. So if you used an alternative flour, like an almond flour that might be gluten-free, you then would have to probably just add a bit of baking soda to the mix, just to make sure that you get enough air inside of your mixture.
So now we have, I will show it to you. It looks like it's really, really sloppy, and that you wouldn't really want to put it on your work surface, but it is fine. So the bit of flour from there earlier. So then you just get, a small handful of flour and just sprinkle it on your work surface, and then get a little bit more and just make both your hands floury, so that when you do pick up the mixture, it's not like doesn't all stick to your hands. So we just plop. There we go. Okay, so what did look really, really sloppy, actually, when you just mix a tiny bit more flour with it, it's really manageable. It doesn't feel too, you know, gross. I'm just going to put a tiny bit more flour on here.
Yeah, Sylvia asked a question online here. She said, when you say sloppy, do you mean watery? And yeah, exactly.
Like not like it doesn't look like it should. It doesn't look like it's the right consistency when it's too sloppy, but you just add a tiny bit more flour and it is okay. So in the recipe, you'll see it says like fold over, and the reason is, I'm just going to show, can you see there's like lots of cracks and stuff? That's not the end of the world, but if you did keep those cracks in, the scones don't rise up, they just sort of rise out. And so just to avoid that, you just literally go like that. So that just keep on folding over, and then in the end, it will be a lot, just be a lot smoother. More. Okay.
That's a great English word that we use today, sloppy. So that's a really good one. But yeah, basically what she means is that, you know, when you put so much liquid in, it doesn't look like the flour is going to absorb all the liquid. It looks like there's no way possible for the liquid to become a dough with that. So that's what she was saying by sloppy, but you could say it looks too wet or has too much liquid inside of it.
Yeah. So then, so we just want it to be nice, nice round. It's meant to be 4 centimeters. I don't know if it's meant to be 4 centimeters across or high, but it doesn't matter. It's going to rise anyway. So this is where you get a, you're meant to have a cookie cutter. And again, if you have a smooth cookie cutter, that's better, because if you have like jagged ones, then again, it might rise outwards rather than upwards. I don't have a cookie cutter, but that's fine, because I've been using a glass and it is fine. But I'm just going to get the tray, the oven tray out.
Now, Carla, when I have looked at scones in the past, I always see them kind of like in triangles, like in little pie pieces. Is that meant for a certain type of scone, or is that like a regional thing?
Oh no, they're meant to be. They're always meant to be round. I don't know. I'm not too sure where you went. Maybe it was like wherever you went, that might have been like their thing. Triangles. Yeah.
I don't know. In America, we always see a lot of scones that look like triangles. It almost looks like a small piece of a pie. So I think they're just taking the dough, and they might just be cutting it into like small wedges. But you know, us Americans, we do things a little funny.
So then we just need to cut out, you know, your scones. So we've got, to be honest, if you have a cookie cutter, that is better. It's fine. Let's go 1. Oops. Lovely. Got 2.
That's a great creative use there of a glass. So if you don't have a cutter, she's just using a glass here with a perfect size hole, and she's making her scones right out of that. So that's great.
Doing it this way makes 5 scones rather than 4. So, well, you should did earlier. Right. Okay.
And you said that you're going to get about, you know, 4 to 5 scones from
So
that.
I get 5 scones. So I will probably give a couple to my neighbour, because at social distancing, obviously, because I can't eat 5 scones to myself. That's funny. This mixture is only made 4, but never mind. Okay. So then we just, can you still see this? Yeah. So then we just pop them on. Okay.
Now you've gone ahead and you've actually preheated your oven to 220 degrees centigrade, but you've also put the pan in the oven, which I think is important to get the bottoms nice and crispy. So you've also put the pan inside the oven when it was preheated to bring the pan up to temperature too.
So let me move the dirty glass out of the way. So I'm just going to pop them in and then get the ones I made earlier.
We have a question from Florence. I don't know, Florence, can you try to unmute your microphone and you can ask us live here on the MLA Kitchen? Just go ahead, Florence, and click the unmute button, the little microphone on your Zoom panel. Some technical difficulties there, but that's okay. No problem. We'll see if she can join us. Again, you can also text your questions that she says, what do you call what you put the scones on? Aluminum or foil? In the United States, we say aluminum foil. What do you say, Carla?
We say aluminium foil.
Aluminium. There you go.
Funny enough, I did see something on the, the phenomenon that is TikTok, and it was how Americans and British say things differently. And one of the things was aluminium or aluminum. Yeah, so tin foil, aluminium foil. I would probably just say tin foil because I can't be bothered to say aluminium.
So they're inside the oven now. So the scones are in. How long do they typically cook for inside?
Only like 10-15 minutes. It's really quick. So actually, we've taken things a bit slower today, but it's actually something really quick to do. And so I will get the ones already made. 2 seconds.
Through the magic of TV, Carla has sped up the baking process, and look at this. Look at these beautiful scones. Carla, you made these this morning?
Yeah.
Oh, like they look fantastic.
I did put the most nicely shaped one on top. Oh, I forgot to do something. 2 seconds. And it's something quite important. Not a big deal.
All right, so we're taking it back a step. Let's see what we...
Is you do need to put egg glaze on top. And I wouldn't forget to do that because when I did that last time, I think I didn't have an egg last time, and I thought, how important can that be? And actually they just came out looking a bit, I don't know, a bit sad, a bit boring. So definitely.
We have Leah on our chat, and Leah actually said that before you came back with that. Leah said, what about brush them with an egg on the top? So way to go, Leah. She caught the mistake up front. So yeah, so 1 beaten egg. So take the egg, beat it up, and then brush it onto the top to get that beautiful golden brown color.
So just, I wouldn't miss out this thing because when I did them before. So, and that is why these ones are nice and shiny.
Hi, Margarita. Can you hear us?
Hi, but I have a question. How many grapes?
How many? Hello?
Ask your question again, Margarita. How many of what?
Sorry. How many grapes? Grapes.
How many grates?
Yes.
How many grades? Oh, I'm not too sure.
Oh, degrees of the oven. Degrees of the oven is 220 degrees centigrade in the oven. So 220, Margarita.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's a great question. And don't forget, everybody, we'll send out the full recipe with all of the instructions and all of the ingredients following today's webinar. So we've just gone ahead. So we've got our egg wash back on top of the scones. They're going back inside the oven for about, what did we say again, 10-15 minutes until they're golden brown?
So really quick. Right.
People want to see those beautiful scones again.
Yeah. Okay. Ta-da! So one of them, as I sent you a picture of earlier, did turn out a bit of a funny shape, but hey, that's fine. We don't.
That one. Can you break into one and show us the inside of what it looks like?
So I'm just gonna, so then we actually have to, do, where's it gone? then we actually have to make up the scone. So okay, so let's break into one. I'll break into the one that, you know, looks the nicest.
And we have Rosanna Birdie with us while you're making that final preparation. Good morning, Rosanna. How are you?
Oh, fine. Good afternoon, everybody. I usually make strawberry jam. I live in south of Italy, and so we have plenty of strawberries, and that's not a problem. The problem is that I can't find clotted cream in Italy. And do you have a recipe to make clotted cream with the ingredients I can find here in Italy? Because I love clotted cream. When I come to England, I always have scones with jam and clotted cream. The problem, usually I put whipped cream in my scones when I offer a tea, an afternoon tea to my friends, or I use butter. But it would be wonderful to put inside clotted cream.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't actually realise how British clotted cream was until I was speaking with Carson, and yeah, he was like, really, clotted cream? That's I didn't realise that it's a British thing. But I don't know the answer now, but I'm going to make it my mission to find out for you how you can sort of make some sort of replica. But I love that you make your friends scones. I think that's great.
Yeah, Rosanna, it's a great question. I don't know of any substitute offhand for a clotted cream. We don't have it available to us in the United States, but there's people that are saying that even mascarpone, cheese, could be something that could be similar that you could use with the scones, but the whipped cream sounds delicious as well.
Yeah, like creme fraiche, I don't know, I wouldn't, no. So then we've got inside scone. There. So yum.
Wow.
So then you actually put the cream and the jam on. I could only find raspberry jam. Strawberry jam was just gone from everywhere. But there's a bit of an argument in the UK where there's two arguments on scones. One is the pronunciation, as I said to you yesterday, Carson. So I would say scones, but other people might say scones. It's scones. And the other argument is it jam first or is it cream first? And when I was telling my mum that I was doing this, the last thing she said to me before she put down the phone is, remember, it's cream first. So I best do it that way. Otherwise, I'll have her to answer to. So yeah, so let's pop this on. Oh, yum.
Wow, they look so good. I wish that everybody could taste one of these, or at least could smell your kitchen right now to see how it smells. But they look absolutely fabulous, Carla. And we can't wait to see what the final one looks like. So we'll respect your mom. We'll go cream first. And then we have, what kind of jam are you using?
I've just had to use raspberry. You know, I think during lockdown, things have gone through phases of being sold out. Like here at the minute, eggs are fine. You can get eggs, but you just can't really get other baking products. So, yeah.
All right, so we're using some raspberry jam, but of course, strawberry jam, fragola, one of my favorites in south of Italy, would be wonderful on top of those. So we're doing clotted cream, raspberry jam on top of our fresh baked scones. Now, Carla, you like to serve your scones warm, or do you like to serve your scones when they've been rested for a while at room temperature?
No, I would, if I had a choice, I'd definitely eat them warm. But with this recipe, you can't, they don't really keep. You have to eat them that day. So just in case you're wondering, I don't know if this is obvious, you don't put them back together again. You eat them like half and half, always.
Ah, I didn't know that. I would have made it into like a sandwich.
I mean, maybe, no. But actually, so it's part of afternoon tea. I was saying this to you yesterday, Carson. For anyone who is interested, maybe the lady who makes afternoon tea for her friends already knows, but the only reason we have this sort of trendy tradition of afternoon tea is because like in the 1800s, a duchess a Duchess got basically too hungry in between lunch and dinner, because it became very fashionable to eat later on in the evening, when electricity and you could actually eat when it was dark outside. So she would basically get too hungry, and about 4 o'clock would just say, I need something. So her servants started making her tea and like a snack, and then it turned into a sandwich and a cake, and then it turned into and then when she started hosting with her friends, it turned into afternoon tea, and then it just went on from there. So,
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you for the history there. All right, so we're almost out of time today. Carla, why don't you hold up your scones again now that you've got your jam, your clotted cream on there, so we can all get to see it one more time before we go.
Yum.
Unbelievable. That looks fantastic. All right. Well, guys, we're just about out of time for today's episode of MLA Kitchen. Once again, we want to thank everybody so much for sharing a part of your day with us and joining us here on these MLA Kitchen episodes. They're a lot of fun for us, too, to be able to do, and we're happy to bring them to you. We're going to be going in the total other direction next week. We're going to be heading down to South America, to Buenos Aires, Argentina. We're going to have a great recipe that's going to be brought from us by one of our MLA partners that sends us students from down in South America. So stick tuned, come back with us next week as we continue on with our MLA Kitchen episodes. Carla, thank you so much for taking your time and letting us into your kitchen today. They look delicious.
Now.
Don't forget, for everybody that's out there watching, tomorrow you will receive the full recipe, all of the ingredients, all of the measurements, and all of the instructions that'll be coming your way at the end there. So just before we go here, we'll do a quick recap here. So your ingredients today were 350 grams of the self-raising flour, plus a little bit extra for the dusting, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. We used 1 teaspoon of baking powder. We used 85 grams of butter that was cut into cubes. We used 3 tablespoons of the castor sugar, 175 milliliters of milk, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, if you have it. If you don't have it, we also substituted today a little bit of the zest of the lemon. And then, of course, we went back and we did that 1 beaten egg, which we brushed onto the top to get those into that beautiful golden brown color. And then a squeeze of lemon juice too inside of there. So that's the recipe that'll be coming your way tomorrow. From all of us here at MLA, thanks for sharing a part of your day with us. We hope you guys have a great weekend. Happy cooking, and we'll see you right back here next week. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.